Today, our guest is Jason Noel. He is the founder and face of Fat Fender Garage in Gilbert, Arizona. Fat Fender specializes in classic Ford and Chevy truck restorations and truck components, including their own in-house design and built chassis. They're doing the whole popular gambit. They take something old, they modernize it, they keep the classic looks. Everything is new, fresh, safer, and better. But I have done more homework since Jason and I last talked. I still don't know if they're a restoration shop or a parts manufacturer or a distributor or if they're planning world domination. It's somewhere in the between. Jason, let's figure it out together. Welcome to the show.
All right, I'm glad to be here. Glad to be a guest for the second time.
2 days in a row. Yeah.
Technical difficulties, right?
We are old friends. So it was great to meet you yesterday, but it's great to meet you again. Jason, can you give the primer to those listening? Who are you and where are you from?
Sure. So Jason Noel, I'll often say Noel if you want to know how to spell my name. And Gilbert, Arizona, born in Arizona, lived here most of my life now. I did take a little break and went to St. George, Utah for about 15 to 18 years. And boy, I have 8 kids, hers, mine, and ours.
Holy smokes.
Yeah, so that keeps us
What
busy.
what ages? Or just door to door here?
14 to 28.
That's remarkable. That's
Yeah,
wow. Okay.
yeah, it's crazy. But anyways, for the most part, we just love building old things, and it's kind of been something that I've always loved, but has been new to me in the last dozen years. And so we're just kind of trying to figure it out, just like everybody else.
Knowing your background a little bit personally, I don't think you're automotive engineer by trade. I don't know that you even grew up doing this. I think you're a woodworker, right? Or a trim carpenter or something like that.
That is a true story. The love of my life, always growing up, was around woodworking. And so when I was in Utah, I was working on a business that was in construction, and we did custom doors, moldings, I mean, you name it. We did all the finish work. I've installed miles of crown molding, hung thousands of doors myself, and I'm very familiar with that process and very comfortable with it. It becomes very second nature for me. But at the end of the day, I went through that housing crisis in 2008, 9, and that did me in. It
Mm.
wiped me out of business. It wiped me out of a marriage. Just kind of like
Oh, man.
everything just came crashing in, and so I had to rebuild. And so as I was rebuilding my life and kind of come to terms with kind of a new business model, a new something, restoration, if you will, hot rods seemed to fit.
Why have your own thing? Why be self-employed? Why
I don't know how
employ
to
others?
I don't know how to do it any other way. So I've actually, since I've been 22, I've owned my own business, and I've never worked for anyone since then. I've worked for customers, but not had somebody bossing me around telling me what to do, which I think I would make and I know I was. I was always just an exceptional employee. I just, rose to the highest level I possibly could at anything that I did. And so it worked out well for me. But I also struggled with wanting to do more, offering more, and feeling handicapped because that company wasn't in a position to do those things or didn't see the same vision that I had. And so
Mm.
then I found myself, just always thinking, well, I can do this better. And that isn't always the very best advice to give yourself, but I did give it to myself a few too many times, and has got me in trouble. But for the most part, has also kind of guided me to be the best I can.
Well, let's walk through this journey. For what it's worth, one of my best friends from high school, he was my first car friend in high school. And today, he owns his own business. He is the most sought after trim carpenter in Cedar Rapids, Iowa.
Okay,
They
awesome.
come to him. Probably you can relate. There's no advertising needed. It just
Yeah,
happens.
yeah.
And when we do car work together, he measures stuff in fat sixteenths. Like that's a fat sixteenth. That's a thin sixteenth. And like
Yeah,
and it's not an eighth here, an eighth there. It's
yeah. Yeah, I always used to give my guys, there's a phrase we have at work, and I learned it from Finnish carpentry days, and that is perfect is close enough, right? You just Everything has to be perfect. There's no
Mm-hmm.
other option. And then on the flip side of that coin is close enough is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And you had to learn how to, you know, bridge the gap in there and know when it needed to be perfect and when it didn't so that you could actually make some money. And so it's that same principle that we have to have here is just, balancing the scales of perfection. When does it matter and when doesn't it?
Did you grow up tinkering with cars? Did you have cool stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I drove a 1966 Volkswagen Bug in high school, and
Sweet.
just like everybody else, always working on it, always fixing the engine. You know, um, I had a lot of confidence in that thing. I look back today and I think of all the places that I drove all over, Utah. Just jumped in it, drove to Arizona, back to visit friends, and I had all the confidence in the world in that car. That was my car. So we went everywhere together. And I'm like, I would not do that today. There's not a chance I would jump into that Volkswagen, take off and go anywhere because as a, 18-year-old kid, you're just like, it runs, so therefore it'll go anywhere. Why not?
There is ignorance is bliss, and when you're 18, you're bulletproof too. So I 73 car. I'm going to get a convertible, by the way. I
Nice.
can relate to the air cooled VW. So
Yeah.
uh, you became a trim carpenter. You became a self employed trim carpenter.
hmm
2008 has happened. Where does the first truck come in? So I'm assuming there's a first truck in this
There
story
is a
somewhere.
first truck, and it wasn't even my truck that was the first truck, to be honest with you. My father-in-law, he had somebody that owed him a little bit of money, not a lot, and the way the person paid my father-in-law back was in an old truck in kind for, a close value. So he took this back, and I think the truck's value may have been worth, 5 to 6 grand. And at the end of the day, he asked me, he goes, "Hey, do you want to help me fix this up a little bit?" And I'm thinking, sure. He's like, "Let's put a new wood bed in it." I'm like, "I'm your guy.
That
I
makes
can do
sense.
this. I mean, this will be piece of cake." And it was actually harder than I thought. But we got the wood bed done. We cleaned it all up. We fixed a few little things on it. And he's like, "Oh, that was kind of fun. Let's sell it." Okay, great. My father-in-law, he doesn't hold on and keep anything. I mean, if it's nailed down, he's looking at a way to, peel it back and sell it and see if he can make some money. And so he's like, "Hey, let's sell this thing, and if we make any money, you can have it." And so we did. We made some money on it, and he says, "Let's buy something else." And so we took the proceeds from there and we bought another truck. He liked the trucks. I kind of liked the trucks, and we did this for about 5 or 6 trucks, just purely for fun. Nothing that was for purpose other than we kind of got into trucks and stayed there.
Was the first one a Fat Fender Ford?
Well, it was a 1953 Chevy Advanced Design 3100. So it all started
Hmm.
off in Chevys.
Okay.
Now we did buy actually a T-Bird, 57 T-Bird. We had a 1967 Pontiac GTO, which was super cool. Great Arizona car. Had it, loved it. I think I bought it for like 7 or 8 grand and running, driving, and we sold it and made some money on it. I think of all these like little vehicles we had and 58, Impala, the first year of the Impala and just this big old boat of a vehicle. And so we kind of cycled through some stuff, even as much as a Chevelle, 67 Chevelle and also an El Camino. And played around with stuff, but always kept coming back to the trucks. And I felt most comfortable and just it felt like I resonated with those a lot better than I did all these others. And I learned quickly it was too hard for me to go from all these different year makes and models and find any expertise that I could offer it. And so I said, I think we're done with all that stuff. I think the truck I like the most is a 1956 Ford pickup truck.
Okay.
And I think that's where I'm going to play. And so I bought 53 to 56 pickup trucks, Fords. I've probably owned 50. And a
And was
lot
that you personally like them, or you saw there's a window here? These are popular.
personally. And then saw a small window. It wasn't big. It was a small window of people that were interested in those things. And that's great. I've got some people out here are interested in them, a little community that developed with me and some of these guys. And it wasn't like this big crazy Chevy market, which I C10 craziness, I didn't know that even existed. I'm just like in La La Land over here, just bumping around with some old Ford pickup trucks, and nobody really cared about those. And so we just kind of hung out, and I did that, and I'd fix them, flip them, and and made a little money, and then I finally had a customer say, "Hey, would you put mine together for me?" And that's kind of where this
A
began.
repeat customer?
No, just a brand new guy, been following us on some of the Facebook groups. And I said, yeah, sure. How hard can it possibly be? We do this all the time. Well, turns out working for someone rather than working for yourself, like adding a customer to the equation and all of his wants and desires. And I didn't know how to say no to him. And so we did everything he asked us to do. And it was literally like making chocolate chip cookies with all the wrong ingredients. And then he's unhappy, I'm unhappy, and it didn't go well.
Did you choose to exit the truck or did it get done?
We got it done. We both lost more money than we had planned. And it wasn't even done well because it's like, who puts a dual four barrel carburetors on a 460 motor with mono leaf spring on the front of a 56 and wonder why this isn't running and riding very well? All to an old, tired out Dana 44, rear end that's just dying it back there, and just wondering why this isn't like working very well.
Okay, so you learned. Did you consider like maybe woodworking sounds good now? I
Yeah, yeah.
or what? What was the next thing you said? Because clearly
So
you
Brett,
pursued.
enter the second customer. Now this guy shows up and has this really nice 56 Ford stake bed truck, flatbed, all original, short bed, stake bed. And I was like, hey, this is probably more up my speed. I can do the wood bed on, the wood stake bed on it. We can get all that done. And then I told him, I said, but let's get like a suspension kit for this one because we need to make sure that we have good suspension underneath it so it performs a little better. So he agreed to all that stuff. And we were looking for a motor. And then he said, hey, what do you think about, like an LS motor? And I said, oh, yeah, let's do that. I said, but maybe let's take a look at the Coyote motor. And keep in mind, I had never seen a Coyote motor working in a vehicle. I'd never installed a fuel injection anything. I'd never done an LS. I'd never, Coyotes were so brand new.
Mhm.
I'm thinking, yeah, let's do this. And he's like, can you do it? And of course, I'm like lying to him, just literally lying to him. And I'm like, yeah, we'll figure it out. We got this. And then I'm like, let's see what we can do to figure it out. And we did. We figured it out. And we had that happened a couple more times. And we started to become known as the shop of F-100s of putting coyotes in them, like really early on. And so now we've shared so much knowledge and information with so many people that now there's tons of people that are doing it now and got it figured out. But we were one of the first ones to do it. And through the course of that, we started realizing there's no products to support any of this, all one off stuff we're creating.
Yeah.
And so I said, hey, if we're going to keep doing this, I'm tired of making the same thing 5 times in a row now. But every time we do it, we know what we need, but we always start from scratch. Why don't we just see if we just get somebody to make 10 of these for us? So we don't have to keep like
Mm-hmm.
coming up with a. And so we started working it from that angle and mostly for us, and then ended up starting to turn into a little bit of a parts business.
Redoing this in. So are you manufacturing then and now in house?
So we were doing some, I was outsourcing parts that we would design very crudely and then outsource the parts to some companies that could make stuff for us. And we still do a fair amount of that. We've never intended to be a manufacturing company, but as we've gone down this path, I've learned that I also really obsessed with getting things done when I need them done, not when someone else, like a paint company or an upholstery company, or you fill in the blank, anything I'm outsourcing, I would struggle with their timetables, my customers having to wait. I'm kind of like the general contractor, if you will, subbing some stuff out to people, and nobody's showing up to do the work. And it started to make us look bad. And so we slowly would take on, like, okay, we're doing body and paint in-house. That's it. We're gonna have to do that. The next thing would be, all right, well, we're gonna have to make some of these parts because we can't get anyone else to do it. We're gonna have to do upholstery in-house because we can't get the upholstery done in a reasonable time frame, and certainly aren't getting the quality or the attention to it that we would like to put into it. So this vertical integration just slowly began over time.
We have a lot of shops that listen to this show, and some are
Hmm.
one man bands, and some are
Hmm.
maybe have 10 or 20 people that
Yeah.
work there. But it's always a chicken and the egg scenario.
Uh-huh.
Typically, there's a fear of investing in making your own stuff because of the high upfront cost, both money and time.
Yep. Yep.
And you never really know, am I going to have enough customers to support this?
Yeah.
And then the flip side is sometimes you're playing it so safe that you're not even attracting customers.
Right.
The phone isn't ringing. So
Hmm.
so somehow you have done this successfully,
Yeah, we
and I
have,
assume
but
it's
you're 100% right. It's scary. And from my perspective, I had already lost everything once.
mm,
And so I'm thinking to myself, I can't like
gonna
throw
do that
caution
again.
to the wind. I'm starting to, I'm 40 years old now. I got I got to be really careful. I have no retirement set up for myself. Like I was in, like, and so for me, we reinvested and paid cash all along the way. And
Mm,
so we got just old, tired, junky stuff, made it work, and then upgraded and slowly upgraded and slowly upgraded. Like, I was very careful that, even if I didn't have customers, I surely didn't want to start making a bunch of payments on equipment
sure.
and put food on the table and take care of the employees and pay for rent. So we had to be very cautious what we did, but also very aggressive with our marketing, and so that we had enough work to sustain what we were trying to accomplish.
What's been the best marketing that you've done? I know how you're marketing now in one way because Con Media
Hmm.
recommended you, and when they recommend, it's you always say yes because
Yeah,
that's a
honestly, we
quality client.
we didn't hire them until about 6 months ago.
Hmm.
So we did all this just with our own marketing and our own dollars, and so it definitely can be done. But what I got into, and I had a friend, he kind of helped me out. But basically, everybody has a story, Rob. Like, everyone's got a story and what they're doing and what they're wanting to accomplish, the expertise of what they have and what they're doing. And you got to tell your story. You just got to tell your story, good, bad, ugly, whatever it is. You just have to tell your story so people can kind of get to know who you are, the type of person you are, the type of product you're producing. Like, you're marketing yourself, and so you're just telling your story to people, and people will resonate with that. They'll resonate with, integrity and honesty. I mean, we've had things go bad that we've told stories where the hood latch broke, and I'm driving a customer down the road at 50 miles an hour, and up comes the hood, you know, and she's
That's
sitting right next to me. And they're taking to the Barrett Jackson Cup tomorrow, kind of a thing.
right.
And it did not go well, and $30,000 of repairs to the vehicle that we had to eat. I mean, that's the bad. That's
Yeah.
about as bad as it's gotten for us. And but that's a real story.
You have a plethora of content out on YouTube. And I
Yeah.
mean, I do everything you do when you prepare for an interview. You cyberstalk people, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you
Yeah.
kind of figure out if you like them before you
Yeah.
even have talked to them. And, I
Sure.
like you. And I liked the content. So I could see the lane you're going from. Do most if somebody called you from the blue, have they seen you on YouTube? Did they see you on Instagram? Was it a
It's
TikTok?
it's
Like, do you
I
ever
would
know?
say mostly YouTube.
Yeah.
Yep, I would say we get 60% of our leads probably come from YouTube, that are organic, that are not like paid advertising, and we sought all these people out, but just like all the real organic stuff. And a lot of it is just because we're trying to help people with their problems, educational, like a solution. And so, Google is the largest, second largest, or I'm sorry, YouTube is the second largest search engine aside
Mm-hmm.
from Google, and Google owns YouTube. And so, you're really right there to where, your video is how to put a coyote in an F-100. And then a guy goes online and is like, how do I put a coyote in an F-100? And then, of course, Google recommends this video. Hey, there's this guy, Jason, in Fat Fender Garage in Arizona, and he's done this, and here's all the content and videos. And so that became information that people would stumble into, and then they would reach out to us and like, hey, I watched your videos. And now it's like, you know, I see people at shows and they're like, I feel like I know you.
Sure.
And I'm just like, all right, fair enough. I've watched all your videos, and I'm like, there's too many to watch all the videos. I promise
Mm-hmm.
you haven't watched them all.
Okay, you've talked about the vertical integration, but there's one biggie. I believe you're making your own chassis.
We are just starting that now. In fairness, we own all the intellectual property, design work, and engineering of all of our Ford chassis.
Okay.
And so we had a company that a good friend of mine making them for us, who called Porterbuilt Fabrication. And so he was together. We kind of started this process. We have gotten so busy selling chassis that we've been, through that design process and things, that we have now decided that his shop is only so big. He can only handle so much. And so, in all fairness, we were putting pressure on him in a way that he wasn't ready to expand into.
Sure.
And so the problem existed, and we worked it as long as we could. And then we decided that we were going to have to just invest into manufacturing in our own chassis. And so we are currently in that process. We should be firing up the machines on Monday. Like we're that close. So
Okay. So way to go. Congrats. That's a big deal, and I kind of like the Dave Ramsey model here. That's what you've described. I'm working my way up, but
mhm.
as you well know, there are lots of great aftermarket chassis options out there, and you chose
Yes,
to go your own route. Why is that?
yeah, that's a great question. So all right, so the one company we all know, Roadster Shop, right?
Sure.
These guys, they're really good at what they do, and they build a great product. So, what are you going to say? Like hey, these guys have done great at marketing. They're aggressive. They're focused on chassis. They're cranking them out. And I even got a Bronco we're building here for a guy that is on a Roadster Shop chassis. One of our really, really good customers, and he just said, "Will you finish this for us?" And so we are. Then there's after that, then it disseminates down to a bunch of chassis companies doing okay.
Okay.
You've got a lot of variations of why it exists that like that, and so, but nothing real like, um, it's like the same chassis they've been building for 15 or 20 years.
Sure. In all honesty here, Roadster Shop would be the only company I know that has truck offerings. Everything I know is in the car world.
Mm-hmm.
I can list you,
Yes.
all the wonderful options, versions, variants, and suspension systems thereof. But when it comes to trucks, there's so many flavors. Some people want them slam. Some people want a ride height. Some people want a legit 4x4. I mean, it could go a lot of ways. And is that why not just buy everything from Roadster Shop or somebody of that caliber?
So the reason why is this. I am so obsessed with quality and options and fitment and finish and all that type of stuff that a spec chassis does not push any of my buttons at all. And again, not that I'm talking down on it. It's just it's not the quality and the baseline that works. Just me.
Okay.
And I think we build a very, very good chassis. The design is good. And then I also want to offer options. So, for instance, we'll be selling chassis here probably second quarter this year. You'll be able to get ABS as an option. you'll be able to get traction control as an option. And all of our suspension will have active suspension options, whether it's two-wheel drive or four-wheel drive. And so, you can get performance and handling through the active in the cornering and the pushing back if you need that. And so we're working towards building the very best product that we can. And in order to do that, I have to have the control to be able to say, this is what we're doing, not begging for somebody else to consider it. And so, and the construction of our product is just a little bit more rigid than the spec chassis, but
Hmm.
more comparable to their fast track chassis. And so honestly, and lastly, why does Roadster Shop have to run away with it? Why can't somebody else give them some competition? And
Sure.
somebody should. And then I've raised my hand and said, I'll give it a shot because apparently nobody else is.
They are on a different level. That's for sure. So
They are.
okay, I can see that.
Yep, yep.
Um, let's talk about the trucks you support. So from just this conversation, it sounds like people reach out to you for your number things. Some are for parts, some are for like partial work, some are
Mm-hmm.
for full builds.
Yeah.
The just off your website, I see Ford 48 to 97 plus Bronco in there, 66, 69, and Chevy 47 to 87, which gets you through the end of the square bodies. OBS must be later. I guess we'll see. Do you have a chassis option for all of those years and offerings of Ford? Okay, so you got all that covered. Is the bulk of your work for customers partial work or full builds?
Full builds. So all the partial work stuff that people need help, we either refer to other shops or we either a DIY guy, he just needs parts to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
And at some point you'd have to say no. We could do twice the work we're doing now, but at some point you have to say no and you have to define what you're going to do and what you're not going to do. And sometimes saying no is what's going to make you the most money. Um, and I have to be really careful how I say this because I say you can't be everything to everybody, but yet at the same time we're offering everything to everybody to a degree, but we're just trying to elevate it. And honestly, it's if I was like Roadster Shop and I only focused on chassis and that's all I did, in some ways that would actually be easier than what we've taken on. We have these different revenue streams that we're building and creating for us, and yet at the same time, you know, people don't like we sell build and sell four truck interior kits a week shipped out to people. And that, has nothing to do with anything that's happening here in our shop. And so, there's this momentum that's been building and growing. And so, I mean, just something we started just, very recently is, will already be probably close, to, a couple million in revenue just in that one little aspect this year.
That's amazing. I mean, that's multiple streams of income is how any successful business works. You mentioned saying no to some of the partial work, and it sounds like someone who has previously said yes to some partial work, and
Yeah.
and
Well, here's
that
what
can be
happens.
hard.
Here's what happens. A guy comes in, he just wants some air conditioning installed in his truck.
Hmm.
That's all he wants. Vintage air kit, whatever it is, put it on, and you go to start that, and then you discover, that there's some other things that are wrong. And so something that's supposed to take you maybe 4 or 5 days, this little project, now is turned into probably 30 to 60 days because of all this other little stuff. So now I've got this little space tied up. I'm waiting for parts to show up. And so it's mostly sitting, waiting for stuff. And now I have no revenue that's being occupied in that spot for probably 3/4 of the time that vehicle is here.
Hmm.
And so I'm just waiting and waiting and waiting. And so for me, if I can't work on something every single day and it's a revenue stream every single day, then I have to consider why I'm letting such valuable space in my shop be occupied with storage. I'm just storing this guy's vehicle while parts are coming in, and now I'm not moving the needle very fast. And so that's what we realized quickly is like, whoa, we either are just a small repair shops, little doodads, and that's what we do. But I don't think we can do both. And we just need to pick where we're headed and what we want to do. And so those little repairs that people want done, we often find that it's just more of a hassle than anything else.
I get it. And there's a lot of ways to slice it. This is the way you've chosen to slice it.
Yeah, there is. And I don't want to I actually wish I could say yes to all those guys because they're really great guys and they really do deserve to be helped. But we just try to refer other shops that we know can take care of them.
What's the most popular you're doing? So a few years ago, I would have said, the 67 to 72 Chevy is probably the big thing. I don't
Yeah,
even know if that's still the big thing.
it's
It's
still real popular.
overwhelming
Yeah.
how much square bodies have come on. I will admit I'm far more familiar with Chevy than I am Ford.
Hmm.
What is the most popular thing you're selling right now?
So we're like, let's go 85% Ford, 15% Chevy.
No kidding. Wow.
And and we're very well known in the Ford world. And then we built some really nice square bodies and we built some really nice 67, 72s. We've done some, and I always tease the Chevy guys that Ford guys build the best Chevys. And they love when I say that. But we love both of them. It was just happened to be more of an expert in the world of Fords, and so that's where more of our stuff gets kind of, comes together a little bit easier for us. And so, but as far as like your make model, I'll tell you on the Ford side, the 6772 is extremely popular right now.
Mm-hmm.
They call it the bump side. And then the dent side, which is the, right after that's popular. But even Ford has a truck called the OBS2.
They do? I
Yeah,
didn't know that.
just like Chevy. And it goes up to the 1996, year. And so, and they've got their OBS version of it, and those are starting to become popular, just like, the Chevrolets are. And so, just like Chevy, you got the ugly years, and Ford has the ugly years, and but they're even starting to become popular because, every mother loves this ugly child, and and so you just people love them and they have money, and the ones that are starting to fade a little bit, the 40s Chevy Ford, those are starting to fade out. The demographics are changing. The people with money, the things that people want to do with them are just changing. So you're seeing that change, just like the old 32 Ford Roadster, right? Like they're just not as
They're
popular.
cool. They're just not as
Hmm.
common as they
They're
once
just
were.
not. They're just not. Yeah. And the old Fords and the old Mercuries, lead sleds, and all that stuff are just kind of they're still cool, but like that customer base is shrinking now.
Yeah, I was the people at Detroit Speed once told me the 69 Camaro is to muscle cars what the 32 Ford was to hot rods. I mean, it's
Hmm.
just the car of that
Yep.
era. And I don't know what it would be for truck. I would still do the 67 72 Chevy, but that's just what I know.
Hmm.
No Dodges on here, and I assume that that's on purpose. Is the Dodge market too little?
We definitely have some of our employees here that are Dodge fans, and they a little bit angry with us. So we do have some little Dodge things that we've been tinkering with. It is a very, very small market, and it's not a no market. It's just we have so many things on our plate that just doesn't make sense to do that stuff until we've completed all of our other tasks.
I, I was guessing that would be the answer. And then there's not even a parallel lane, but a different county, Japanese trucks. Because I dig them all,
Yeah,
especially all the '80s Toyotas,
yeah.
Nissans,
Oh,
Mazdas.
I
They're
had a
awesome.
Toyota Stout, a 1967 Toyota Stout. Beautiful. It was just a baby blue. And I got it and I was like, man, this thing's mint condition, no rust at all. Like, I love this thing and I'm going to do something with it. And then it sat there for a couple years and I was like, I don't think I'm going to get to this anytime soon. So I might as well just make somebody else happy. And I sold it. And it was a non-running truck and I got 7 grand out of the deal. And the guy was just super ecstatic to have it. And he's doing a build with it. And I'm super happy for him. And I'll have to find another one day.
In the muscle car world right now, you're probably familiar with the Low Volume Production Act. There are a
Mm-hmm.
lot of
Yep.
people that are making a car,
Yep.
And the holy grail end result will be when they can stamp it with their own VIN. It has
Mm-hmm.
to have the modern emissions compliant driveline that at the moment Blueprint has a cert on for a Ford
Yep.
driveline. Some of them are restorations, so they're still titled as the original thing. But there's like a market out there for a $400,000 Mustang all day long. There are three or four
Yeah,
companies making
there's a
great
lot of
ones.
companies making those right now, that Gen 1 Mustang.
Yeah. Are you going that route? Are you planning to make a production Fat Fender vehicle?
That is a great, great question, and it has crossed my mind. We have a car that we're going to do that with,
A
believe it or not.
car,
Yep,
not a truck.
yep, yep, a car. And
Okay.
only because it's very low volume, but we're going to play around with a Fox body Mustang.
No fooling.
Yep,
Okay, I can
yep,
see that.
yep.
The Fox bodies and third gen F bodies. I mean, it's here.
It's here, yeah. And we have a different approach that we're going to take that I have an NDA on, so I can't really say, but on how that's going to look and how it's going to be licensed and what that'll look like. But yeah, we're in some design work right now on it.
Dude, how about that? Look at you. That's great. How big is your team? How many people work there at FatFin?
We currently have 75 people at our shop.
That is amazing.
We started off with it literally was just me and my father-in-law, who showed up, about 30 minutes every day to see what I was doing. And but that's how it started. It was just me and a tiny little space, and we've probably added 25 people just this last year.
That has Gilbert native Brock Purdy showed up to buy something yet?
I wish he would. He he really got he was a great quarterback here in Arizona, but
Mm-hmm.
just the opportunity he had in so quickly, to
Yeah.
play for the 49ers was just amazing.
I'm coming to you from Ames, Iowa, home of Iowa State University. I mean, Brock is like he's like our son.
Yeah,
We will love him till we die, and wherever he goes is our favorite team.
that's awesome.
But Gilbert, Arizona, everybody knows where Brock Purdy's from. He's from Gilbert,
Yeah,
Arizona.
I have a son-in-law. He's headed out to the Ohio State, going to school out there. So,
No kidding. How about that?
so we'll hopefully get out to that part of the country.
Last basic question is you can become a Fat Fender dealer, and I assume that's a dealer of parts. Is that of parts and chassis? What does that get you?
Yeah, yeah. So this is kind of a new thing we're testing, kind of beta testing right now, and that is shops that work on old vehicles, old Ford trucks, whatever. And like for instance, if you know Casey, the painter, he was on Gas Monkey Garage, a good friend of mine, and so he's building a truck for his dad, and he bought a bunch of parts from us. And honestly, we've gave him some discounts to help him with his shop and stuff. And so we're kind of beta testing some stuff and wanting to be and by the end of this year we'll have a full-fledged program where you'll be able to purchase, depending upon your volume, anywhere from 10 to 20% off on all of our products, so that you can be and then we'll try to come up with ways to help them be successful. One thing I've learned in this industry is we're all on the same team, even though we might feel like we compete against each other. But at the end of the day, we're all in the same team, the same industry, and that is to enjoy our love and passion of automobiles, classics, trucks, cars, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
We really are, but that's not always the case. Some shops feel like they've got an axe to grind against another shop, and I think that's just a really poor way to look at your industry. And I think you can be competitive all day long, but it's based on what you do for yourself, not what you do to other people or say about other people. It's how you live and function and build your business. You don't worry about what everybody else is doing. You just need worry about what you are doing to be successful. Honestly, people talk to me about stuff all the time. I'm like, I don't even know who are those guys? I'm like, yeah, they're these guys. I'm like, I don't even know who they are. I'm just like doing my own thing here, and that's all I can worry about. I can't worry about anyone else. But we do get projects that come from other shops, and good shops, reputable shops. Like, I'm friends with these guys. And the goal is to help them. The goal is to not ever say anything disparaging. The goal is to just be kind and help the customer get through the position he's in. If we take that other path of trying to elevate who we are by stepping on everyone else, that actually hurts our industry in such a way to where customers hear it, they feel it, it's just creates a bad reputation, and all that kind of stuff. And so I feel strongly that if our, industry is to get good at and being better what we're doing, we all have a job to, in one way or another, kind of support each other and help each other.
Do you have designers in house? Who puts the artistic touch on all these things? Just curious.
There's a lot of us. So we have actual like design engineers
No
that
kidding.
use SolidWorks. Yeah, these guys, I don't want them to hear me talking about it, but things get really tight in the market. Designers are the first ones to go, right? Because they're super expensive. But it helps us with my ideas. So
Mm-hmm.
that's the struggle is I got an idea and I need to figure out how to get it get it working. And so then it used to be I would just go find a designer and, hey, here's a little pet project, get to work on it, and he would. And then I would just disrupt the flow. But now we have a procedure, we have somebody that's over all this stuff so that it can go from concept to on the website in a really quick time frame. But then when it comes to designing the vehicles, we have two designers we work with. If you heard of Sean Smith
Sure,
Designs. Yep.
definitely.
Everybody's heard of Sean Smith. I always tease him. He's the next Chip Foose. And then there's Pinstripe Chris. If you've ever heard of him, he's an artist, a little bit more of an artist, a little less designer, automotive designer than
Okay.
Sean, but he has an artistic design that I actually like as well. And so I work with those two guys and we'll collaborate with them and come up with ideas that help us get some of these higher end builds through the shop.
Do you use a OEM like production process? Is there a start, a middle, and an end to these things?
Just persevere and get it through. I try not to over design because I try to leave some interpretation to the guys that are actually doing the work.
Mm-hmm.
Just because you can draw it doesn't mean you can make it all the time. And so
Sure.
we try to be careful.
This we could probably talk for a lot longer. I have thoroughly enjoyed this, but last question is, what does it cost to restore a car? Is it 400,000 or a truck? Is it 400,000 bucks? I mean
So
that's
I'll
always the
say that,
number.
yeah, yeah. So everybody wants to know how much it costs. And for a revival series, which is a new chassis, new drivetrain, we're probably not going to paint it. Maybe the firewall under the hood. You're going to start at about 200 grand right there.
Okay.
And rewired and brand new wiring harnesses and everything's brand new where it needs it. Not everything. The designer stuff that starts right about 450. Starts. So
Starts.
you can get over $1 million if you just have no restraint and everything has to be customized and those are really difficult and challenging because once you get up into that it better be perfect, like it's
For sure.
yeah. So that adds a whole new element of intensity. So as far as bills go, those are the ranges. Our interior kits start at about $8,000 and go up. See, start at about 28,000 or no 20 about 26,000 for a chassis. They start there, and then we do two-wheel drive, four-wheel drives, and you can get 12, 13, 14, 16-inch brakes on them. A lot of options, and so it's yeah, rough numbers there.
All right. How would you like people to reach out to you or Fat Fender? Just the website?
Well, yes, I used to, believe it or not, I used to give out my cell phone number, because I thought that's the best way to get a hold of me. Still floating around out there somewhere because I would get a phone call. I'm like, hey, where'd you get that phone number from? And then I'll go try to chase that down, see if I can change it. But the best thing to do is just, go to the website, fatfender.com, and you're going to find stuff, resources. You can fill stuff out. We'll reach out. We'll contact you. You want an interior kit, whatever, that's easy. Social media is great. You want to go find us on Instagram or Facebook. We reside there. Obviously, the YouTube channels are where you can watch a lot of content. And then I heard we have a TikTok channel. I don't think I've been on it or seen it, but the young kids, they like to throw stuff up there. But those are the best places, and you reach out to us. I mean, I try to talk to as many people as I possibly can that have real hard questions, and so we try to be as available as we can.
Cool. Nice talking to you. I look forward to following along with the Fox Body too. Not that I wasn't interested before, but I'm very now. So talk to you
Cool.
soon, man. Take care.
Hey, see ya.